Okay, hello guys, it's Sendou again. So I took some time out of my busy schedule in Japan to bring you this video. Is what I would say, but in reality you're just watching a pre-record video, but don't let it bother you too much. So we're talking about training wheels. We have three abilities in mind in specific. And just to start with Ink Resistance. Ink Resistance, not ability I see too often in competitive play. And just to quote what Splatoon Wiki tells about Ink Resistance. Ink Resistance up neutralizes up to 100% of the mobility penalty from touching the enemy ink. Ink Resistance up also reduces the maximum damage that accumulates from stepping in enemy ink. Ink Resistance up can bring this damage cap from 40 damage to as low as 35 damage. The rate of damage accumulation is reduced, so that the damage cap will always be reached in 1.5 seconds. So basically what that means is that you can go to enemy ink, you can walk through it, and you won't take as much damage. Okay. So why doesn't this see play in competitive play then? Like it looks pretty useful, right? Like there's always enemy ink, and it's kind of hard not to always avoid stepping on it. So you know, why don't people run Ink Resistance up? Well, I'll tell you exactly why, and it's very simple. Because you're not supposed to be standing in enemy ink. That's just not how you play. Like, if there's enemy ink there and I have to go there, well, then I paint a pad and I go there. It's not like I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna walk through here because whatever. There's like enemy ink, I don't feel like painting over it. Because painting is so crucial part of this game. You're constantly fighting for map control, you're constantly trying to get specials, so there's like no situation where you would basically be like, oh well, I'm just gonna go like stand here on enemy ink and like go on my execute my master plan here. So to me, no one plays like this. Not even people who like boot up solo and play for a week, 1 week. Even they don't play like this. But it's still helpful. Like I admit it. Like my range set. If you go back on these videos, you notice that I used to have increases in my range blaster sets, but I ended up dropping it completely. And here's why. I think it's training wheels. I think you're just making it easier not to play the correct way, but you can always learn to play the correct way. So good players have like pretty like godlike movement in the regards that they always like keeping to their own ink. Like okay, not always you can like paint the whole map you color. That's pretty normal. But like good players always like keep in mind like okay, if I'm going here, like I can go back from here while keeping to my ink. So this is I think one of the most important parts about movement in Splatoon. It's always keeping to your own ink. And yeah, of course sometimes you don't have enough ink to like, you know, paint, but you start to be keeping up to your own ink. Like it's really bad to go to enemy ink and take damage, because that just makes you die easier. So I think for good players, Ink Resistance just becomes useless because you're not gonna be having so many situations where you just are forced to go to enemy ink. Like basically you're never playing in a way where you would have to do that at all. So I feel like for newer players, say, okay, I'm picking up T-Deck. That's a pretty common thing. Like you see T-Deck and you see that they're running Ink Resistance. So I think it's logical. Like, okay, I'm painting. Like it's kind of hard to always like remember to paint your like feet. You know, sometimes you end up kind of like in enemy ink. Like I understand that it's kind of stuck. Like you get stuck and it's hard to move. And I think a bit of Ink Resistance might seem like a good choice, but really, I think what you should be prioritizing is just to learn how to move correctly in the first place, which is not to go to enemy ink. So, would I recommend this to new players then to run this ability? I think not. Just because we talked about training wheels. Okay, well, training wheels can be useful, but maybe that is not the best term, because I think in the first place you should be learning to play it the correct way, which is not like spending too much time in enemy ink. And of course, there's some other things about it as well. Like of course if they buff the Ink Resistance like crazy, like yeah, of course people would run it then, but just the basic idea of why it's not useful is basically this. So yeah, if you're like a player and you have Ink Resistance in your set, I challenge you to try making a set with no Ink Resistance at all, and then you just have to think about yourself, like okay, if you pretend that the area I have not inked this enemy ink, then you know I am learning to move in a way where I'm not, you know, I don't step on enemy ink when I don't need to, and it's just learn that it's like a very bad thing to do in general. So that's the first ability we have in mind, but the second ability is actually something that's a bit more common, and that's Ink 7 main. But I think same principles can apply here. So for example, let's say let's take increasing it up, and let's take again, like, very basic example, but let's take again spider shot here. So this is something I see again, and then yeah, I don't know. So this was on my front page. I run this with Brella, so we're gonna come to that exception soon, but really what we are doing here is that, okay, well, you know, Ink 7 main, like, that makes sense. Like, you get to shoot more, you don't have to ever let go of your trigger. Like, just hold down the trigger the whole day from dawn to evening. But is that really what you should be doing, though? Like, is this really what you should be doing? I mean, I agree. I mean, it's pretty cool. Like, this is therefore day one, pretty much right here. I agree. It's pretty cool. Like, come on, like, I can hold my trigger down for days. But okay. So yeah, that's certainly one way you can play this game. And just another example from my own weapon class would be Range Blaster. This is my opinion. Some people run Ink 7 main, even some really good players running Ink 7 main. But this is again my opinion. Like, okay, yeah, sure, this is cool. We can totally make a set that does this. Like, it's pretty cool that you can shoot the whole day, and if you miss one shot, like, no problem, because you have so many shots here. Like, this is incredible right now. But again, is this what you should be doing? Okay, I'm like making this stuff like, okay, I know no one actually plays like this, but the basic idea is this. Ink 7 main makes it easier to basically shoot when you don't need to. Like, I don't honestly, like, with range, I should only be needing 2 shots per target, right? Like, that's the basic idea of it. And I shouldn't be shooting like nilly-willy, like, for example, like, oh, I want to paint that. Like, I shouldn't be doing like stuff like this. Like, you have to be really mindful of your ink tank and mindful of how you use it. Every shot needs to have a purpose. You just can't be like, like basically throw Shakshan and then you out of ink like really fast. Like, you have to be thinking about, when I throw the Shakshan, that the Shakshan is giving me good return, and after that I have a game plan still, that okay, if I get rushed after that, I still have enough shots to do that stuff. So to me, Ink 7 main is, in most use cases, it's just helping people to learn bad habits in regards to whatever you want to call it, like trigger control or however. But basically, you should be putting a bit more mind to what exactly are you doing with your weapons, and so you get like the maximum benefit. Like, okay, if I just need to shoot twice, right? Okay, or 3 times. Okay, as you can see, it doesn't always happen like this, but that's still like the principle of it, is that okay, you can constantly get better, and when you get better, you probably need less shots, right? So I'm not saying 7 main never has some use, even in this scenario where, okay, realistically, I don't think most people will be hitting all their shots with range, right? No one does. But in my opinion, it's still not needed. Yeah, it runs out of ink really fast, but at the same time, you shouldn't be shooting nilly-willy, like, just shoot when you need to, right? And I think that's pretty much the point of this video, is that if you are choosing what gear abilities to choose, it's always a trade-off. I can choose something and then I have to give up on something else. But you should be always thinking about, what can I change with how I play to not need these abilities at all? And this is really 2 good examples, and I hope this video maybe gave you some new thinking in regards to this, that okay, do I really need like 19 points of Ink 7 main on my Tienda deck? Because you probably don't, my friend. And same with ink resistance. And just to close this video off, just some, like, there's always some special, like, there's never a rule or something that's always on, and okay, you never use ink resistance, you never use ink 7 main. That's not the case. For example, Brella, a lot of people have a lot of like ink 7 main, just how the weapon functions. Like, you have to be holding down the shield and so on, like, so it makes a lot of sense for the weapon to basically have the ink 7 main that gives you a lot more options. So again, that's one example where it's useful. You have to be finding out your own ways, but hopefully this video gave you some new thinking, and yeah, that's about it. If you have questions, I might take wild advance first since I'm in Japan, but maybe I'll have Wi-Fi. I don't know if they have this in Japan, but just joking, I should have Wi-Fi, so I should be able to answer some questions as well. So thanks a bunch for watching, and see you guys next time.